The great council of the Zolorian Empire gathered inside a massive hall, their voices echoing under the dome of silver light. They were the rulers of 10 star systems, proud and arrogant. They believed themselves the strongest in this part of the galaxy. They believed no other species could stand against them. In the middle of the chamber stood an old alien elder, his scales dull with age. His voice was weak, but his eyes carried fire. He raised his hand and spoke slowly. "Do not attack the humans. If you do, they will never stop hunting you. They will follow you until the end of your bloodline, until your name is dust." The council laughed at him. Their wings rattled, their teeth glimmered. One of the generals, tall and covered in dark armor, sneered, "Humans? They are a forgotten species. They lost their wars long ago. They are weak, scattered, and broken. Why should we fear them?" The elder shook his head. His voice trembled. "You do not understand. They are not like us. They do not measure wars by victories. They measure by survival. If you harm them, they will rise again. They will rise with fire, with fury, with endless pursuit." But no one listened. The sound of laughter filled the hall. The Zolorian emperor struck the floor with his staff. "Enough! We will crush the humans and take their worlds. Their colonies are ripe for harvest. Their ships are outdated. They cannot resist us." The council cheered, believing this was the dawn of conquest. Far away on the edge of the Orion Arm, a small human colony thrived quietly. Families walked under twin suns. Children played among metal towers. The humans were rebuilding, scarred by old wars but alive. They traded with small merchants and mined the nearby asteroid fields. They believed peace had finally returned, but in the darkness of space, the Zolorian fleet approached, hundreds of warships shaped like jagged knives, engines burning blue. The invasion had begun. The colony's sensors screamed in alarm. Human officers rushed to command centers, screens glowing with red warnings. Captain Elias stood tall, his jaw firm. His eyes scanned the data. He knew the Zolorians were coming. He whispered to his crew, "We have been warned. We always knew they would come. Now we show them who we are." The first Zolorian ship descended through the skies, dropping fire and plasma over human defenses. Explosions tore through buildings. Smoke and flames filled the colony. Civilians screamed and ran for cover. Soldiers raised their rifles, fighting back with desperate courage. The Zolorian general watched the destruction from orbit. His voice was cold. "This will be quick. These humans cannot resist us. Soon their colony will fall, and their kind will remember our rule." But inside the burning colony, humans refused to kneel. Captain Elias ordered counterattacks. Human pilots launched small fighters, darting like angry wasps between giant alien cruisers. They struck engines. They targeted weak points. They fought not with numbers but with precision and rage. The Zolorians were surprised. They had expected fear, but they met fury. The humans did not retreat. They advanced. They fought with the fire of survival. Every loss only made them stronger. One Zolorian officer whispered, "Commander, they fight like they cannot die. They fight like ghosts." The general growled, "Nonsense. They are only men and women. Crush them." But deep in his heart, even the general felt a chill. He remembered the words of the elder, "They will hunt you forever." The battle stretched into the night. The colony's defenses were shattered, yet the humans still held. A single transmission was sent into the void of space. It carried across the stars a message to all human colonies, all human fleets. The message was simple. We are under attack. Stand, fight, and never forgive. In the silence between explosions, the old warning began to echo again. Fight not among the Zolorians, but among the humans themselves. They remembered who they were. They remembered their history. They remembered that no one who wronged them ever escaped. The Zolorian fleet thought this was victory. They did not know they had started something far greater. They had awakened the hunt. They had awakened the wrath of humanity, and the galaxy, though it did not yet know, was about to learn the Elder's truth. The smoke of battle still hung over the human colony. Streets were broken, buildings burning, yet in the rubble humans still moved. Their eyes carried no fear, only fire. Captain Elias walked among the wounded, his uniform torn, his hands black with ash. He whispered to every soldier, "Stand. Do not fall. Humanity is watching." Above the colony, the Zalorian fleet regrouped. Their general sat in a dark command chair, his eyes fixed on tactical screens. He had lost more ships than expected. Small human fighters had pierced through armor, engines, and weak points. It was not a crushing victory, it was a costly one, and he hated it. The Elder's words echoed in his mind. Never challenge humanity. But pride crushed his doubts. He slammed his fist against the armrest. Send the next wave, burn this colony to dust, let no human survive. The second assault began. Alien warships rained fire. Plasma storms lit up the skies. The ground shook as towers collapsed, yet in the chaos, humans refused to retreat. They set traps, lured alien soldiers into narrow alleys, and turned wreckage into barricades. A Zalorian captain led his troops through a ruined street, confident the humans had fled. Suddenly, hidden charges exploded beneath them. Metal shards ripped through alien armor. From rooftops, human snipers fired, precise and merciless. The Zalorian captain fell with a scream. His last sight was a human soldier walking through smoke, eyes burning white. The vengeance. Every Zalorian commander began to feel unease. This was supposed to be simple, quick, clean. Instead, every step forward bled resources, ships, and lives. Meanwhile, far from the colony, the distress signal of Captain Elias traveled across space. Human fleets scattered through the galaxy caught the message. Old veterans, miners with hidden ships, outposts with small defense crafts, all of them heard. And in their hearts a fire ignited. Humanity had always been divided, but in moments of danger, they became one. They remembered old wars, old betrayals, and the same truth. If one colony fell, all would fall. So they moved, unseen, like shadows, preparing to strike back. Back on the colony, Elias stood before a hologram of his officers, his voice steady though his body ached. They think we are weak. They think this will end here. They do not know us. They do not know our history. We will show them that humanity hunts its enemies forever. The officers saluted, their faces were tired, but their spirits unbroken. The Zalorian general ordered ground forces to march deeper into the colony, believing human resistance was ending. But as his soldiers advanced, strange patterns emerged. Roads seemed empty, yet their sensors picked up movement. Entire squads disappeared in silence. Only later were they found ambushed, surrounded and broken. In the ruins, the humans became hunters. Every soldier fought as if every bullet was the last, every strike the most important. Children and civilians carried supplies. Medics worked under fire. Engineers repaired weapons from scraps. Humanity was no longer only defending, they were preparing to chase. One Zalorian officer muttered, "They do not fight for victory. They fight for vengeance. They fight for memory." His commander snarled, "Enough, break them now." But even he felt the cold fear crawling in his chest. T fell again. The colony glowed with fires, but in the darkness human fighters launched another raid. They targeted the Zalorian flagship. A squadron of old, but modified starfighters cut through the sky, moving like wolves among prey. They hit the engines of a battleship, causing a chain explosion that lit the void. The Zalorian fleet panicked, ships colliding as alarms screamed. The general roared in fury, "These are insects, crush them, crush them." But his words sounded more desperate than commanding. On the ground, Captain Elias stood over a transmitter, sending one last message to all humans. "They think we are prey. Let us show them the truth. Once they harmed us, we will never stop. From this day forward, they are the hunted, and we are the hunters." His words spread across human space. They were repeated in mining colonies, whispered in deep space stations, shouted in hidden training camps. Humanity was awakening. The Zalorians thought the first battle was ending. In truth, it was only the beginning of the hunt. The Elder's warning was alive now, not as prophecy, but as reality. The galaxy would soon learn. Humans never forgive, humans never forget, and those who dared to challenge them would run, but never escape, because the hunt had begun, and humanity was already on their trail. The Zalorian fleet hovered above the burning colony, scarred and shaken. What they believed would be an easy conquest had turned into a struggle. Every report carried news of ambushes, lost ships, and human resistance stronger than expected. The Zalorian general sat in silence, his claws digging into the armrest of his command chair. The faces of his officers were pale. They whispered of human tactics that made no sense. Humans did not fight like prey. They fought like predators, striking and vanishing. Far across human space, Captain Elias's transmission spread. It reached colonies that had once been forgotten. It reached soldiers who had retired. It reached smugglers, mercenaries, miners, and explorers. And one by one, they answer. Read, humanity had been divided for centuries, but now a single call united them. In deep space, a hidden fleet began to gather. Old battleships that had been silent for decades powered up again. Carriers opened their bays, releasing squadrons of fighters painted black for stealth. Crews sang ancient war songs as engines roared to life. Humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was hunting. Back at the colony, Elias stood in the ruins of the command center. His eyes scanned the flames. His voice was steady. We are not only defending anymore. From this day, we chase them. That night, the first counterstrike began. A small human fleet appeared from hyperspace near the Zalorian supply lines. The Zalorians were unprepared, expecting no resistance so soon, but human ships fell upon them like wolves. They destroyed carriers, burned fuel stations, and vanished before reinforcements arrived. Across the galaxy, similar attacks began. A Zalorian convoy was ambushed near a nebula, their ships torn apart by human torpedoes. A Zalorian base was overrun by ground troops who appeared from tunnels they thought sealed. In every shadow, in every silence, humans waited. The Zalorians tried to regroup, but fear spread through their soldiers. Officers reported that human fighters seemed to appear from nowhere. Some swore they heard human voices whispering on their comms before attacks, as if ghosts haunted them. The general raged, "They are only humans, they cannot be everywhere." Yet even he knew the war was changing. The hunters had become the hunted. Meanwhile, other alien empires watched from a distance. Some laughed at the Zalorian struggle, but their laughter grew quiet. Reports of human raids spread too fast, too brutal. Stories told of human fleets chasing enemies for months without rest. Stories told of soldiers who never surrendered. Stories told of vengeance that lasted generations. One alien leader whispered to another, "The old legend was true. They never stop. They will hunt until extinction." On the Zalorian homeworld, fear reached the council. The same elder who once warned them stood again. His voice was sorrowful. "You did not listen. Now the hunt begins, and it will not end until you are ash." But pride blinded them still. The Emperor ordered a massive counter-campaign. He commanded every fleet to move against human space. "We will drown them in numbers," he declared. Yet he did not understand that numbers meant nothing to those who never quit. When the Zalorian fleets advanced, they met empty space. Systems they expected to conquer were abandoned. Yet when they moved deeper, humans struck from behind, cutting supply chains, trapping ships, breaking morale. Every Zalorian captain began to whisper the same words. "They are everywhere and nowhere. They will never stop." Back on the colony, Captain Elias stood before his people. His voice carried like thunder. "They thought we would break. Instead we rise. From this day, no Zalorian will sleep in peace. From this day, we are the hunters." And so the galaxy trembled, because for the first time in centuries, humanity was united. For the first time, their wrath burned brighter than suns. For the first time, the hunt had truly begun. The galaxy began to whisper. Stories of humanity's wrath spread faster than ships could travel. In dark taverns on neutral worlds, merchants spoke of human fleets that appeared like shadows, struck without mercy, and vanished into the void. The Zalorian Empire tried to silence the rumors, but they failed. Every time they denied the stories, another fleet was destroyed, another convoy vanished, another commander begged for reinforcements that never came. The whispers grew louder, and fear became truth. On a distant moon, a group of alien smugglers huddled around a fire. One of them trembled as he spoke. "I saw them. I saw human warships with my own eyes. They did not stop hazing us, not for days, not for weeks. They are not soldiers, they are hunters." The others sat in silence, their faces pale, Even neutral empires that had no quarrel with humanity began to watch with unease. They remembered their own crimes, their own betrayals, and feared that one day humans might turn their gaze toward them too. The Zalorian generals gathered in a war council. Their maps showed red lines cutting through their territory. Every week more ground lost. One commander slammed his fist on the table. This is not war. This is slaughter. They attack our supply lines. They break our morale. They leave nothing behind. Another whispered, it is like fighting shadows, shadows that never rest. The emperor shouted, enough. We are stronger. We are many. We will crush them with fire, with numbers, with fear. But even as he spoke, his voice cracked. His own eyes betrayed doubt. He remembered the warning, though he would never admit it. Meanwhile, in human space, colonies that once lived in silence now burned with unity. Veterans trained the young. Scientists built new weapons. Old fleets were reforged. Humanity was not only fighting back, it was evolving. Every day the hunt grew sharper, faster, more ruthless. Captain Elias stood aboard his ship, the Resolute, staring out at the stars. His voice was quiet but filled with steel. They thought we would fall, but we are rising. And when we rise, we do not stop. We will follow them to the edges of creation. His crew answered with a single roar, to extinction. The next strike shook the galaxy. A Zalorian fortress world defended by thousands was attacked in the dead of night. Human fleets emerged from hyperspace, not in one direction but in many. Surrounding the planet, they cut off communications, blocked escape routes, and descended like storms. For 3 days, the Zalorians fought. For 3 days, their skies burned red, but when the smoke cleared, the fortress world was gone. Only silence remained. The name of that world was erased, wiped clean, as if humans had carved it out of history. After that, the galaxy stopped laughing. The other empires no longer mocked the Zalorians. Instead, they whispered in fear. Some debated alliances with humanity. Others prayed never to meet them in war. One council declared in secret, the humans are not conquerors, they are executioners. In Zalorian cities, fear ruled, families hid in bunkers, soldiers refused orders. Children cried at night, whispering that the humans were coming. Their nightmares were not wrong, for humanity never forgave and humanity never stopped. The Zalorian general who once mocked the elder now sat in silence. His claws shook as he whispered, we should have listened, we should never have touched them. But it was too late. The hunt was already loose, and nothing in the galaxy could cage it. Across the stars, the legend became law. Every alien child grew up hearing the same words, never challenge humanity, for they will hunt you forever. The Zalorian Empire once ruled with pride. They had star fortresses, endless fleets and colonies stretching across light years. Now those colonies burned, those fleets shattered, those fortresses turned silent. Humanity was tearing them apart, piece by piece. No matter where the Zalorians ran, humans followed. A convoy hiding in a nebula was ambushed. A hidden outpost buried under ice was discovered and destroyed. Even commanders who tried to vanish into exile were found. Humanity's wrath stretched across the stars, unstoppable. On the human flagship Resolute, Captain Elias stood before a room of commanders. His voice was low but carried weight. They thought they could crush us. Now they run, but we do not forgive. We do not forget. We will find every world, every fleet, every survivor. The Zalorian Emperor ordered his generals to retreat deeper into their territory, hoping to regroup, but retreat only gave humans more ground. Each abandoned world became a new human stronghold. Each captured ship became a weapon turned back against them. On the edge of Zalorian space, a desperate council gathered. A general shouted, we must beg for peace. Humanity cannot be stopped. Another hissed, no, we are proud, we are strong, they cannot break us. But even as he spoke, his voice trembled. He had seen the broken fleets, the shattered armies, the endless pursuit. Meanwhile, stories spread among Zalorian soldiers. They told of human warriors who fought even when wounded, who crawled through fire to strike a final blow. They told of human fleets that never slept. They told of eyes in the darkness watching them wherever they fled. Fear consumed them more than battle did. The humans did not only fight with weapons, they fought with memory. Every family remembered those lost in the first attack. Every colony remembered the fires. Every child was told, do not rest until the Zolorians are gone. This memory gave humanity strength beyond numbers. The Zolorians built a fortress world, a last stronghold deep in their core systems. They filled it with their best soldiers, their strongest ships, and their proudest leaders. They believed here they would be safe, here they would regroup. But humanity came, not with one fleet, but with many. The sky above the fortress world turned black as hundreds of human ships appeared. Their weapons lit the void like stars. The Zolorians screamed, impossible, how did they find us? But humans always found their prey. The battle was not quick. It lasted days, weeks even. Every defense crumbled, every wall burned. The Zolorian leaders begged for mercy. They tried to surrender. But humanity remembered. Humanity refused. Captain Elias spoke from the Resolute. Mercy ended the day you struck our colonies. Now you will know what it means to be hunted. The fortress world fell. Silence replaced the proud capital. The Zolorian emperor escaped into the deep void, believing he could hide, believing there was still a haven left, but even he knew in his heart humanity would find him. Humanity always found their prey. Other empires trembled. They sent envoys. They sent gifts. They promised neutrality. None dared raise a hand. None dared whisper a threat. For all had learned the truth. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was the hunter of hunters. The Zolorian people whispered in fear at night. Mothers told their children, be silent. Do not draw their gaze. The humans are listening. Entire planets lived in silence, afraid of a shadow that might appear in their skies. No fortress could hold. No fleet could protect. No exile could hide. For there was no safe haven left from humanity. The Zolorian Empire was no longer an empire. What was once proud and feared was now broken, shattered, and hunted. Their fleets were ruins drifting in space, their worlds silent, their people living in fear. Humanity had become a storm that never ended. The emperor who once promised conquest now hid in the shadows. His once golden throne abandoned, he fled from system to system, never staying long. Every time he thought he had found safety, reports came of human ships entering nearby space. He could not escape. On the human flagship Resolute, Captain Elias stood with his commanders, his voice calm but sharp as a blade. We are close, they are broken but not gone. We do not stop until nothing remains. We do not stop until the galaxy remembers forever. His crew answered with a single roar. Never forgive, never forget. The humans pressed deeper. They hunted Zolorian remnants across asteroid belts. They pursued fleeing fleets into black holes. They tracked every transmission, every signal, every desperate cry for help. There was nowhere to hide. Humanity's networks of scouts, spies, and hunters covered the galaxy like a net. Entire Zolorian planets surrendered without a fight. Citizens laid down weapons, hoping for mirror. Sigh, but mercy was not given. Humanity had made its vow. Those who attacked them would be erased, and so planet after planet burned, until maps of Zolorian space were nothing but ash. Fear spread not only through Zolorians, but through every alien species. Councils gathered in secret, whispering, if humanity can do this to them, what would they do to us if we crossed them? Even mighty empires trembled. Some offered tribute, others offered silence. None dared challenge. The Zolorian generals who still lived begged the emperor to surrender. They will not stop. They will follow us until the end. We must bow or we will vanish. But the emperor's pride refused. His eyes burned with desperation. If we fall, let us fall fighting. And so he gathered what was left, the last fleets, the last soldiers, the last hope of his empire. They made their stand at a dead star, a system of darkness and silence. They believed the void itself would hide them, but the void could not hide them. Humanity arrived, hundreds of ships, thousands of guns, an ocean of firepower. The stars themselves seemed to burn when the battle began. The Zolorians fought with desperation. Their ships charged forward. Their weapons unleashed storms of plasma. But humanity answered with fury. Their warships cut through the void like blades. Their fighters moved like predators. Every strike was perfect, every attack relentless. The battle raged for days, until only wreckage remained. The last Zolorian flagship floated powerless. The Emperor stood upon its broken bridge, his eyes wide, his voice trembling. He whispered to himself, the Elder was right. We should never have touched them. From the Resolute, Captain Elias spoke. his voice cold as the void. "This is the price you struck at humanity, and now you face extinction." The humans opened fire. The Zolorian flagship was torn apart, the Emperor and Hannes. His last guards vanished into light and silence, and so the Zolorian Empire ended. Not with peace, not with surrender, but with fire. Humanity had driven them to extinction's edge. The galaxy watched in silence. Entire civilizations now carried the same lesson in their hearts. Never challenge humanity, never awaken their wrath, never become their prey. The stars were quiet. The war was over. The Zolorian Empire was gone. Their fleets destroyed, their cities erased, their emperor reduced to dust. Nothing remained but silence and ruins drifting in the void. Humanity had finished the hunt, but their message was only beginning. Across the galaxy, every empire, every council, every colony now carried the same story. They whispered it in courts, in marketplaces, in nurseries where children learned their first words. The warning was simple and eternal. Never challenge humanity. On the flagship Resolute, Captain Elias stood at the command deck, his crew silent, their faces lit by the glow of distant stars. For the first time in years, there was no enemy before them. Elias spoke softly. "It is done. They thought we would break, but we endured. They thought we would flee, but we hunted, and now they are gone." His words carried across human fleets, transmitted through every channel. But he did not speak with pride. He spoke with weight, with the voice of a man who understood what this meant. Humanity had not only won a war, they had forged a legend. On distant alien worlds, children were taught bedtime stories, but instead of tales of heroes or monsters, they were told the story of humans. Do not provoke them, do not attack them, for if you do, they will never stop. Mothers whispered to their children, "Sleep now or the humans will come." And children slept in silence, afraid of a predator they had never seen. Alien rulers sat in silence too. Even the most powerful leaders, who once mocked the idea of humans, now built defenses not against invasion, but against mistakes. They feared even an insult, a single strike, a single betrayal, for they knew humanity never forgot. In the archives of the galaxy, the story of the Zolorians was erased, not by choice but by fear. No one wished to remember them. No one wished to repeat their fate. Instead, only one lesson was carved into history. Never challenge humanity, for they will hunt you to extinction. And humanity itself changed. They were no longer a scattered species. They were united. They carried scars, but those scars made them stronger. Their colonies were rebuilt, their fleets larger than ever. But most of all, their spirit was iron. They had been tested, and they had proven unbreakable. One day, on a quiet colony, a child asked Captain Elias, who had retired to walk among his people, "Why did we not stop? Why did we chase them until nothing was left?" Elias looked at the stars, his voice deep. "Because if we had stopped, they would have returned. Because if we had forgiven, they would have struck again. Humanity does not hunt for conquest. We hunt to survive. And survival means no second chances for those who betray us." The child nodded slowly. For even the young understood, the galaxy was safe not because humans were merciful, but because humans were relentless. And so the legend spread, carved into stone, sung in songs, written in codes across space. A law older than kings, stronger than empires. Do not challenge humanity. For those who tried were always hunted. For those who ran were always found. For those who fought were always broken. And those who mocked the warning were always erased. The galaxy would never forget. The stars themselves seemed to whisper it in silence. Humanity had become not just a species, but a warning. Not just survivors, but hunters. And their legend would outlive empires, outlive kings, outlive time itself, because from that day onward, across every corner of the galaxy, one truth remained: never challenge humanity. 4. Those who tried were hunted into extinction.